Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever you're watching me right now. My name is Jay Luke, the owner and operator of the Passions Network, where we amplify the voices, elevate the culture, and champion the musician. Don't forget, you can get anything in our store for 30% off your purchase. All you got to do is type in HBCU band. That's after you put everything inside of your cart and you get everything you want. Also, don't forget to check out the Patreon. Um, I actually saw this as I was going through some things, and it's popped up, and it says 11 band members taken to hospital amid practice in Mississippi heat, raising debate about rehearsal safety. This was in Tupelo, Tupelo, Mississippi. A scary scene played out in Tupelo, Mississippi, Wednesday after 11 high school band members collapsed during practice in the extreme heat. It's raising serious concerns about or questions about why they were even allowed to rehearse in those conditions. In Mississippi and Tennessee, football teams must follow strict heat safety rules. If the wet bulb globe temperature, which factors heat, humidity, sun angle, and wind, goes above 92 degrees, outdoor football practice is not allowed. Between 90 and 92, football is limited to 1 hour, no pad, no contact, frequent breaks, and cold immersion tubs must be available. But for the marching bands, those same heat policies are not always enforced. That's very interesting. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Even though students are outside in full sun carrying heavy instruments and moving constantly, many schools still treat band like an extracurricular activity instead of a sport. Okay. That creates a dangerous double standard. Band members are sometimes practicing at heat levels that would force a football team indoors, even though the physical stress can be just as intense. Part of the confusion comes from how the danger is measured. The wet bulb globe temperature is different from the heat index we usually hear. Heat index only measures temperature and humidity in the shade. Wet bulb globe temperature goes farther by factoring in direct sun, wind, and surface heat, making it making a more accurate reading for people working hard outdoors. That's interesting. I didn't know there was a difference. Here is how they compare. A wet bulb globe temperature of 87 usually lines up with heat index between 95 and 100 degrees. A reading of 90 equals a heat index closer to 105. And once the wet bulb globe temperature hits 92, the heat index may be between 108 and 115, depending on sun and wind. So even if the number does not seem extreme, conditions can still be dangerous. So and it goes on to talk about a lot of other stuff, is talking about the rules and so on and so forth. But this is really interesting to me, and I'm gonna tell you why it's interesting to me. It's interesting to me because of the fact that, I mean, I grew up in Texas. I taught in Texas. I've only taught in one other place other than Texas, and that was St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. I need y'all to hear me, band directors, everybody, before we start getting into the rules, regulations, and stipulation. If you my age or even 10 years younger, I give you 10 years. This ain't the same heat that we was practicing in, bro. It's just not. It's not the same heat we was practicing in at all. As a matter of fact, I remember when I started high school band, we were out there like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. We do warm-ups or whatever. Then we go run. And this is at the Ridge. We go run. Miss Thornton be in this truck. Sometimes Miss Tia be in her truck. When they built that little park over there in Mo City, we started running that park. Come up behind McCullough Middle School, and then run back to the campus. It got to a point too that we were running the track that we had that was behind our football field. And then we would stay outside. We wouldn't go back inside. We get our water break, and then we start going to field maneuvers, and all of those things, right? I say all that to say we would be outside for most of the day. And back during that time, I remember we did two different things. The first couple of camps that I was at for my first couple of years, we would do 2 a day. So it was a time when we did the morning, and then we went home, and then we came back for the afternoon. But I think that was in my last 2 years. I can't remember. But when I first got there, we were there all day. We were outside most of the time, and then we transitioned inside, and that's when we worked on music. But we ain't living in that time, bro. This heat is a different type of heat. And we got to be a little bit more mindful and smart. Like, see, the difference is that us sitting back and yelling and giving instructions is a lot different than being out there in the work, in the heat, right? And let's be real. Like when we give kids the precaution for band camp, you know, all the things to bring your towel, bring your hat, bring your water, all of those things. Like we could tell all these kids this, but let's be real. We already know that all kids not going to show up with that. We just know that. Like you should know that off top. Like that should be the understanding. And off top, all these kids is not going to show up there. So what precautions are you personally taking? We're not talking about the rules and regulations of the school or whatever. What precautions are you personally taking to ensure that these kids are okay? All right. So that's the first thing. Now, I don't know if the year or not the year, but the rules and regulations have changed in UIL since I've been teaching. But I remember when I was there, you could only rehearse kids for 20 minutes before they had to get a water break. And there was a certain time of the day that they had to be outside. Now, I don't know if it's changed now, but I remember that's what the thing. And I, as a person who came up, you know, started high school band in the 90s, I was a person who was like, yo, this is weak. These kids weak if they got to have a water break every 20 minutes. We just not getting into working on something before, you know, we have to let them have a break. But I also had to realize that this different. And one of the things that I did as a band director is, and most of my students, if you talk to any of my students now, most of my students will tell you, I would get out there and do it with them. You know, if I was making them doing push-ups, I was doing push-ups with them. If I was making them do jumping jacks, I was jumping jack with them. If I was running, I was generally running with them. Because I don't believe engaging in something, because I always tell my students, I would never ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. I will always tell them that. So they would always see me doing it and be doing it with them. So they're not alone. So when the 20-minute rule thing became a thing, I started with like, yo, this is weak when I read it. But when I was with my students out there in the summer doing it, I was like, oh yeah, it's different. It's different. We've got to take precautions, yo. And not only do we have to take precautions and all the measures, but we also have to realize that this is a different type of heat. We got 108, 105, anything that's 100 and whatever. The heat that we experience, and I'm from Texas, the heat that we experience maybe scratch 90, maybe. Like I remember there, and now this wasn't band camp now, so you know, don't fire me up. But I remember it was days when I would be at practice in blue jeans, and blue jeans was not tolerated. You had to run an extra lap if you had blue jeans on. But it was a couple of practices I had blue jeans on, and I was good. We don't live in that time no more, bro. So directors, man, take care of your kids. This isn't, we're not trying to make these kids go hard. Like, don't get me wrong. There has to be a level of adversity within their process of going through this, because yes, they will perform with a heavier uniform on. All those things are true, but most of our games are at night. It ain't usually 90, 100 degrees at night. So we got to take precautions in that, right? And be mindful of those things. Most of the time when it's too hot outside and we have performances, we generally going to put them in a windsuit or a t-shirt and shorts anyway. So yes, there's a level of adversity that they have to get through, but you also have to be mindful and understanding where we are and know the rules and regulations, and also take the precautions that are necessary for your kids to be successful and not pass out. There are a lot of other variables that go with this. Yes, we know during the summer our kids are sitting in the crib eating Takis, watching TV on their tablets, on the sticks, doing all these things to make them not prepared, because obviously they didn't prepare to come to band camp, but you still got to be prepared for this, and you got a plan, right? I said it this morning. You got a plan for these for your camp. You can't just go out there and just let them just go ham the first day. You got to build up to that. You got to build their endurance. You got to build their strength. All of this is it's a layered process. So and again, this has nothing to do with the directors. I'm pretty sure the directors at that school took all the precautions, but I'm talking to the general mass. You know, do what you got to do for the strength and the growth and the betterment of your kids and your program. You don't want to put nobody's kids in harm's way. Period. That's the way you got to look at it. We ain't got to go hard all the time. And these kids nowadays, most of them ain't trying to go hard anyway. And you definitely ain't trying to have them go hard in this heat. Because you ain't going hard in this heat. I ain't. It's hot. It's hot. So take care of your kids. Take all the precautions necessary. And we can't act like we can't talk about we want ourselves to be considered to be an athletic sport, but then try to act like or move like we different. Like if they have a specific rule for their sports, you got to follow that same rule. You outside just like them. I'm just saying, man. But you guys tell me what you all think inside of the comment section, man. I really can't wait to hear your thoughts about this. And what are the rules and regulations at whatever school district you at or whenever you were in school, man? Y'all let me know all that stuff down in the comment section. Again, you can get anything in our store for 30% off your purchase. Just type in HBCU band. Also, go ahead and get locked into the Patreon. It is still out there, man. Outside of that, man, I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.